Oh my God.
It's not easy for a sex worker.
It's been decimated from what I hear.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we support sex work on this show.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? I've supported sex work like maybe 5-6 times. Welcome back to Show Me Yours with Jackie and Jonny, everybody.
I'm Jackie Agnew.
And I'm Jonny DeVito. And I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been going through a rough week. Mm-hmm. It's been a little bit crazy. You're going to notice by the flow of this episode that, well, even just the record that we have on the wall isn't the actual record that we prepared to do.
Yeah.
Like, Jackie's no stranger to the fact that I've been a complete fucking mess for the past, like, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 days. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it might be seasonal or whatever, right? So I'm not going to get bogged down into the weeds there.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to be here right now.
Yes. Same.
Because this is the cool thing that you get to do during the week. This is get to do everything else I have to do.
Yes.
So in preparation for that, I'm thinking like, what's an album that, you know, Jackie's really going to love? Something we're going to touch into a genre that we haven't yet. That one I'm very fond of. And I really wanted to go back and kind of like pick out the album that to me is like the blueprint for everything that followed, right? Which is a pretty big statement to make, right? Because there's a lot of great hip hop that's in the early days, in the golden era, that we're going to talk a lot about, or a little bit about, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So basically I figured I'm going to show Jackie Eric B and Rakim's Paid in Full.
Yes.
Because I have a copy of it, and like that's the one thing in my life that's not going to go wrong this week, because like it's an album that I've known for years. It's a favorite of mine. And then I go looking through all my records today. I don't fucking have it in my in the collection. I'm looking at I'm not looking at a friend. I'm assuming that I gave a stack of records to a friend.
Yeah, and it might have been in there
a while ago. Yeah, it was pretty so Jackie, for reference here, this is Rakim's later album called The Master. Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you've never witnessed rapport like this before. It's good. It's also very good, but it's not the album that we prepared for.
Yeah, and it's not the album we'll be discussing today,
at all.
But it's just a backdrop.
A visual keepsake. So if you're wondering why in the thing it says Eric B and Rakim's Paid in Full when it's clearly The Master on the wall, yeah, we fucking know.
Yeah.
All right?
So just stop with the comments, all right?
So that's all of the preamble that I'm going to give.
Okay.
And then, take us away, Jackie. What the hell are we talking about before we get into this?
Yeah, so I think I'm excited to get into this album. But before we do, we have something pressing.
There's a story that came out that is kind of blowing up all over Canadian news right now, which I don't understand why. I think it's particularly interesting, but we'll break it down and then we'll get into it.
So basically, I mean, I don't have the story in front of me, but I'm pretty familiar with it at this point.
Oh, you've been going hard in the paint on this one. It's very exciting.
So the gist is that in Ontario, I forget the Milton, Ontario.
Shout out.
I guess a video was, I don't know if it was leaked or if it was uncovered or if it was just presented, but a video came to light that depicted a handful of construction workers in what seemed to be an unfinished house that they were all working on.
Like an active job site.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In their company was also a beautiful young sex worker, and they were throwing a retirement party and within their place of work, someone's future home, and the video showed them partying maskless, which was a big part of the article.
The silliest kind of part for me is that if you're in a construction site. And then all of a sudden, like, construction is like there's not a 9 to 5, right? A lot of people bitch about a 9 to 5, but for the past decade, I've been working a 7 to 3, which is like a godless hour to get up at.
Yeah.
Incredibly hardworking individuals in the field, right? Men and women. And when it's retirement time, like imagine, I worked with this old guy named Donnie Brooks. We're too concerned about saying his name because if that guy's still alive, then fuck yeah. But about 10 years ago, he was like 81 and he'd retired like 3 times already. Right. So this guy just keeps coming back to work because I don't know, the old lady's at the house. Like, what's he going to do? Right. He's got a plum to stay alive or something. Right. Which is pretty crazy. Very interesting cat. But at his retirement party, we did some nice things for him. Not this nice. It's a pretty cool thing to do for an old guy.
Yeah,
right?
and there was even one lucky fellow. I don't know if it was the guy retiring, but one
I'm going to assume it was the guy that made the call.
I think so too.
Right?
He was also depicted performing a sex act on this a
lot of air quotes, not a lot of video out there. If any listeners,
anyone has their hands on this video, we would love to see it because I have studied about all that I can without actually seeing the video.
Yeah, and I mean, well, any further explanation or just like a further grasp on any kind of knowledge, I think is important.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what I mean. It just. For us trying to learn, like get a little bit more context to the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And maybe like a little full frontal nudity while we're at it.
Yeah, and like the thing that, because I think the video...
Or maybe even full penetration. We don't know how... We don't know
how
the video goes,
yeah, exactly. We don't know what happens because the video has not been released alongside the articles.
If you have a link, send it.
But... I mean, I don't really, and because we haven't seen the video, I don't really understand the response of the construction company, or just like the overall response. Basically the quote from the company that employed these guys, who no longer employs these guys,
unfortunately,
was that
hopefully they're going to the labor board and they can maybe have like a strong case against this, right? But who knows?
But basically they said, there's nothing about this video that I don't have a problem with, and that
That's awesome. That's an awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool quote.
Like, imagine if you're having sex and like, was it good for you? And it's like, there's nothing about that I didn't have a problem with. That's a really cool thing to say.
I mean, it's an excellent choice of words.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment, but maybe I would if I'd seen the video.
Sure.
And then they said that basically what they're most upset about is that this video is offensive to women, and they have dedicated so much time within this company to making the workspace and the construction industry more appealing and more accessible to women, and that this is just a huge step backwards.
Being in the industry, that this person is talking about, when you're coming from the perspective of saying like that we've been trying to make this industry, they've been trying to make this industry appealing to women to work in, right?
Yeah.
So from the top down, it's very different. Like what happens in Congress, where the legislation gets signed, and then like what happens like on the streets. You know what I mean? Like where this is actually happening, right? So I'm there, and I've seen some pretty like outlandish shit. Is that the first beer with your new mouth, Jackie? That's pretty cool. You got a little spill on the side there. A little technical difficulties. We always have an episode with technicals.
Just forgot how to drink liquids for a second there.
Well, this young professional didn't, Jackie. And that's the thing about young women, is that like construction is not a good environment for anybody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Never mind women.
Yeah.
It's a hellacious landscape that is just kind of thankless work that unfortunately, fortunately and whatever, it pays well enough that like in my situation, like it's almost that you just kind of feel stuck, right?
Right.
So that's my experience with it. But to say that anybody that wants to get into the trades and like, really get a good job, have a union but to support you, you can raise a family, you can buy a house, you can do a lot of good shit with it, right? But if you think that it's all going to be like puppy dogs and ice cream when you show up on site and you have to work around these people. Whereas, yes, the industry is a lot different now than it was 10 years ago. And that but that's just because when I was learning, and I didn't, like, a guy would throw a wrench at me, right?
Right.
And now when I'm teaching a kid and he doesn't learn, I'll just show him again rather than throw a wrench at him or whatever, right? So it's evolving us in that sense. But what does paid professional going to a private residence to do a private show have anything to do with the women in the construction industry as a whole?
Yeah, like I don't, as a woman, the thing stopping me from pursuing a career in construction is not the fact that a couple of fellas invited a sex worker to the retirement party.
So you're a feeble-bodied 5-foot woman, and the fact that you have to pick up pipe and turn a fucking wrench for a living.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the overall like trades as someone who is no matter like how many weights I lift, I'm just not going to be that strong.
Totally.
And so it's just for me, not really a viable option or an appealing one. And I think that
there's girls your sides that are like electricians and stuff like that.
Oh,
or whatever,
I'm sure.
right?
I'm
but,
sure.
You know, and
that's not to take
them,
away.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
that's not
to.
Of course.
I don't want to sit here and kind of shit on like the industry just because I have a problem with like the way that. You know, like with the life that I've set up for myself in it or whatever, right? So I shouldn't speak negatively to that. But sort of.
And there are tons of women working in construction, working in trades who are fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
But the fact that it's male dominated has, I would say, more to do with just like the natural makeup of men's bodies versus women's bodies.
Yeah, and the scope of work required to get this job
exactly
done, right?
That is probably what is mostly accounts for the difference
and
versus
honestly,
like the culture.
Same thing with like sex work too, right? I think it's the difference in the bodies.
Yes.
You know what I mean, right? Because like you could have say like an elderly woman with maybe 3 teeth left in her mouth, 2 in her pocket, you know, had seen far away from the better days that she's seen, right?
Yeah.
But if on the corner selling a piece of pussy that's for sale that will sell, right? Now, me on the other hand, right? Like if I wanted to get into like a life of sex work, it's not going to be that easy for me, and I understand that.
Road,
and but I don't scream discrimination.
Yeah,
you know,
and so you bring up an interesting point, which is that both the female sex worker and the male construction workers in this video work with their bodies, and so maybe that was a point of connection, and they were like, you know what,
there's a lot of crossover between those two industries. I think that like the construction industry might keep like a very large portion of the sex work industry alive.
Yeah, and it also, like, on a slightly different note, the whole response that this was offensive to women, that is offensive to women.
That's fair.
Because this lady's just doing her fucking job. And like the woman who commented, I forget what the official organization was that she's a part of, my apologies, but she is speaking on behalf of sex workers. And she basically said, yeah, this just looks like a typical private party.
Oh, that was the best. Like that her quote was the best. Yeah. She said that this has been happening for a couple centuries now.
Yeah. And she was like, there's nothing like scandalous about what's going on here. Sure, they should be wearing masks. But other than that, I don't understand what you want me to say.
Yeah, right. And I think like it's the prudish mind of like of Western society or whoever found this video and then leaked it, and then you know, whoever thought the blowback was going to be, you know, terrible, so they decided to like make a public firing of this. You know what I mean? Right? Just like start all the hoopla. It just seems like too much. When I think people's mind in like relation to the sex act, like it would be like a private show, one girl versus like, you know, like a room full of guys or something like that. Like there's something you know, diminishing, but the people that are outraged about this aren't the people that are either involved in that kind of work or the ones that are paying for that kind of work. And who are you to say like that is wrong? You know what I mean?
She's not a victim in this video. No. She's getting paid for her work. So fuck you. Absolutely. How is this offensive to women? This is a grown-ass woman doing her job. And in these times, in the COVID,
Oh my God.
It's not easy for a sex worker.
It's been decimated from what I hear. Right? Like, we support sex work on this show.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? I've supported sex work like maybe 5-6 times. You know what I mean? I think it's incredibly important to stand up and you know, throw your hat in the ring and really like do what you can, you know, to support people through these troubled times, right? And not dog them for the type of jobs that they, you know, choose to accept, right?
Yeah.
I'm a plumber. I have been a commercial plumber, industrial plumber, residential plumber, doing all scopes of it, right? And I've never once walked home covered in shit.
Yes.
You know? That's because those jobs are available and I choose not to take them.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you can be like a regular porn star and do like, or even like softcore, like Skinamax stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe some booby, little panties on kind of stuff. Hot, right? Fun. Or you could do kink.com and get your face stepped on and like, you know what I mean? There's varying degrees of this, right?
Yeah.
And for you to judge one and accept the other, I think is just like hypocrisy and stupid, and also maybe like put the workers like information out there. You know, maybe hit her up with like a tag, like and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. She should have been tagged in all of these articles.
If wanted to. Right?
If wanted to. Yeah. And obviously this doesn't take away, there are tons of people in sex work who are in it against their will. Obviously we're not talking about that.
Yeah, we're not into
We're
any
not
of that
talking about that. We're talking about
good old fashioned consensual sex work.
Exactly.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Human trafficking and like
obviously that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Jackie was a pimp for a long time in Harlem, but that was a different life. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
She looks good in snakeskin.
I still do.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Right? But what you were doing at the time was more of like, that was more circumstantial and...
Yeah, I mean, what is a girl to do when you're 16 years old on the streets of Harlem?
Well, it's interesting for you to actually get into pimping and actually not be like one of the prostitutes.
Oh, that's how I started. That was, 13. I started selling my body. And then I was like, you know where the real money is at? Being the seller of the other bodies.
Sure.
Yeah, and sure, I still threw my hat in the ring sometimes, you know.
But that's just for love of the game.
Exactly,
you know what I mean, right?
exactly.
Like
to keep myself in fighting shape.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's important, right? Like Michael Jordan owns, I believe it's the Pelicans. He owns his own basketball team now,
okay.
Right? If you think that just at a shoot around, Michael Jordan isn't getting in there and fucking jacking dudes up just for the fun of it, right? Because he loves the sport.
Yeah.
You know, right? But I mean, and I've seen that in you and in your work for years now, right? Which is it's actually inspiring.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did with my clients, or my ladies. I went onto the job site with them, and I would sort of stand. I'd be out of the way, let them have their moment. But if I saw someone slacking, I would hop into the ring and show them how it's done.
Oh my god! You know what? And how nice is that for like a young up and coming apprentice to have a boss that's so hands on.
Yeah.
And is just willing to really jump in there and grab the bull by the horns. And, and ride this sucker out.
Quite literally, yeah.
Incredible learning experience. Incredible, kind of like that'd have to be like a mothership kind of role at some point.
Yeah, I did.
Or was it like an alien mothership where you just kind of like abducting these women? Or no, we're against that part.
No, I did not abduct any of my ladies. But yeah, I thought of myself as a mother, as you said, hands on and pussy on.
Oh, pussy on, always on.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen your work. It's it's like reminiscent of like Picasso's Blue period.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like this is that you can really tell that this what would go on to be more of like an abstract artist in your later career. I mean, the stuff that you're doing now.
Yeah, it's a bit more using different
chopsticks
different tools, different materials.
My goodness, fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But you can really see that you have a strong foundation of the, of the. What's the word? Like a strong foundation of all the essential skills, right? So you need to know all the rules before you can break them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And really go off into the area where what you're doing now is more art, I would say, than actual sex work.
Yeah, I would say the same thing too. After a certain point, you have to start coloring outside the lines and, taking risks with your work.
Yeah, and selling tickets.
and selling tickets.
Let's get serious.
Yeah, right? I do sell out stadiums with my work.
Which is wild because like everybody in the stadium is actually involved. So now the most successful one that you had was actually 1,300 people involved. Now was that one after 15? Oh, my fault. I'm gonna get at my assistant for that.
Okay.
But so in that situation, like I mean, I know that's a long day, right? But are you taking breaks in between, or is this like something that you're that you've been training for a long time, and you're just you're gonna be in the driver's seat until all 1,500 are finished?
Well, it's a bit of both. These days, I like to, I make it more of an experience. So back in my younger days, I wanted the spotlight on me all the time. Yeah, but now sense. I know I'm confident in what I've done. I've left a legacy. These people know who definitely. I am. Yeah. So, I start off the show. But around, the first act break, I sort of tap out, towel off, let one of my younger apprentices step in, and they put on a bit of a show. And then
again, though, what a great opportunity for somebody that's not going to be able to perform on that kind of stage. Yeah, you know what I mean, to get that experience. Paramount. Yeah,
and so then they sort of switch off. I usually have like two or three other performers that I'll switch off with, and then I tend to come back around the second act break right before the climax. It has to be enough time where I am, of course, responsible for the climax, but
okay, yep, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I want to give them their time too, is what I'm saying.
That's just the mark of a true performer, you know what I mean? After a while, you know what I mean? Like you said, the spotlight and the look at me thing kind of fades, right? And now you're kind of curating an experience for everybody that's there, rather than more of like that, like the star idolization kind of thing or whatever that probably drew you to to fill up stadiums in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, like I've had my time in the sun for quite a while now. I basked in the stardom.
Yeah, and skin cancer survivor now 2 years.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, and 2 different bouts of skin cancer as well.
So you've had your time in the sun now more times than most.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible. But you reach a point to sort of call back to what we were saying with the Rolling Stones last week. Yep. You don't want your legacy to eclipse the quality of the work you're putting out. And so this is where I've sort of taken a step back.
You're a true artist.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
Now, shameless segue, when it comes to payment, always up front, would you say that you were paid in full in every one of these experiences?
Yeah, that's a must. Always.
That is a must.
Always paid in full.
Always paid in full.
Yeah.
Sick segue. That's a lot of fun. Yeah. So to get back into the album that's not on the fucking wall here, Jackie, what did you think?
I really liked it. I mean, I was telling you about it yesterday. I mean, obviously, this is exciting because this is like the first genre that we've talked about that we both really like. Yeah. But obviously, like, I'd never heard this album before, and there's a whole bunch of lyrics that are referenced in songs that I know. And
I think that's the funny thing is that you've never heard this before until you hear it, and you've heard all of this before in one way or another.
But it was. I mean, I love like hearing sort of where it all came from.
It's the look behind the curtain, right? It's that little moment of like deeper understanding, because for me, like artists, especially, I mean, maybe not as much now, maybe a little bit now, but when you're a kid and you find something that's just like touches, like you want to know everything about that, you want to understand every lyric, and it's really cool when you get to that level, and then you find out that maybe 15, 20 years before the album that you love came out, the real master came through and really redefined like a style. Before like Rakim was really doing it, there was definite different styles, but nobody came so intricate, so smooth, and also with an attitude like with this fucking not in front of me, but I ain't no joke. Kind of starts off. There's a Soul Train performance with Eric B and Rakim from like 1987 or something like that, where the host of Soul Train is bringing them up, and he looks at Rakim and he goes, "You don't smile that much, do you?" And he goes, "I ain't no joke." And it's the coolest motherfucking thing that you'll ever see, right? And it's the first time that like intricate rhymes and everything really came over top of what like classic hip hop is supposed to be, right? With like sample heavy, like New York. There's like New York hip hop, you know what I mean? Like 808 drums, James Brown samples, Jackson 5 samples, and whatever, and then and an MC really like moving the crowd. And I think what you can see from this album that kind of separates it from its like later counterparts is that like this was still like party rocking.
Right.
These beats were still like kind of fun to groove to and fun to dance to and
kind
stuff.
of bop to it.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah,
I mean, even like lyrically speaking, he's not cussing on any of these records, and but everything is so tough, and there is like an aggressive nature to this thing, right? But his attitude is always like, I'm gonna bust you upside the head with like a rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna show you that I'm the best. Right. And in all those little, there's all those little just little lines in there, but like, remember me, the one you got your idea from. Later, like before I found Rakim, I'm a huge fan of Mobb Deep, right? So you find the infamous Mobb Deep, and rest in peace, Prodigy, dead from one of the members of Mobb Deep. There's a song and he goes, "Remember P, the one you got your whole style from?" And I used to love that. And then I was like, how the fuck are you gonna say that?
Yeah.
You clearly ripped it off from my man Rakim, right?
Yeah. Just
absolutely incredible. A quick like off the top here, between like, I know probably one of the most notable would be like, "'Cause I am whatever you say I am."
Right.
If I wasn't, then why would I say I am?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, obviously Eminem from The Way I Am, but
Yeah.
it's actually the R, the A to the
Yeah.
K I am, and if I wasn't, then why would I say I? So you can see like, even up until like current times right now, right? It's a 35-year-old record that everybody still like tips its hat to.
Totally.
Which like, incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
That's all
huge
I have to
influence.
Say about it.
Well, no. Do you think like because using that as an example, when people heard that from Eminem, obviously probably like 75-80% of his listeners just thought that he thought of that. Same with like any obviously in rap you in hip hop you reference other people's lyrics a lot.
Oh yeah.
But like, and like within, if you know what they're doing, then you respect that. But do you think also, because I don't really know how to word what I'm trying to say, but like, do you think there's also like almost a detrimental effect when people who don't know just think that these other artists are making up these lyrics?
I don't think it's detrimental. I think that it's a cool opportunity for a casual listener to get like a little bit more knowledge and then once you like, I don't know, I'm a naturally curious person, so once I find that little nugget, then I'm gonna want to explore more. Right. So it may be for some, but I think it's really cool because there's two sides of the coin in hip hop, right? Because there's like paying homage and there's also biting, right? So if you're biting styles and biting flows and shit like that, right, without, properly paying homage, I think there's probably like a generational gap, right? Like it'd be really hard for somebody to come out now and start like doing like Rakim verses. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck are you know what I mean? Right? Like that's something that's so cemented in time. But I think it's more, or was common like in like when people are just kind of starting to come out, right? And like with hip hop, it's so important for you to kind of stand out, right? Especially as like a solo artist. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes doing the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the same for any genre to like really stand out. You know what I mean? At the time when like hair metal is hair metal, what's going to be the next thing or whatever that's going to put this next band over the top? That's going to make like, Motley Crue different from Poison, different from whatever, right? And I think that goes all the way through, but almost more so in hip hop because that's the style of the times is basically what it is. A lot of the guys, for more or less reasons kind of look the same. They all kind of dress the same. You know what I mean? And because like that's the style of whatever's cool, right? So every rapper when I'm a kid had baggy pants and a New York, you know, hat on, right? the same kind of the same kind of style. So whatever like it's gonna take to set yourself apart, I think that becomes skills.
I think that hip hop is unique though in that like it's so like central to this art form that you do sort of show that you've done your research and show that you know where you're coming from. And so that's, I think, like referencing other lyrics sort of shows that. And again, I think there's a similarity. I think there's a big similarity between between musicians, but particularly hip hop artists and comedians, where it's like if you want to be a successful comedian, then you better like fucking know comedy. And not to say that you're gonna reference other people's jokes in your own set. Obviously you're not gonna do that, but like you better be able to like fucking sit down with another comic and know what the fuck you're talking about, know like sort of the history and know what you're, you know the history of the art form that you are now putting yourself into, if that makes sense.
I think it's really important. I mean, there's exceptions. I think like you're always going to have some kid that comes in, it's just like, oh, fuck all this and not have that kind of respect for, you know, for the past, right? Like, so for anybody to not to come into this thing that like, is any new art going to come, you know, like from now on? Like for sure it is, right? But something that's so like iconic as what hip hop is today, it's like $1 billion industry, right? And like punk rock, I think would be like it's the little brother that doesn't want the attention or whatever, right? In some cases might not deserve it, but the same thing about those two like genres or styles of music is like it's from the youth. It's a DIY kind of aspect, I think, like at the very beginning. And the only two different things now is like what they've done with their success and what they do with their money or whatever, and the way that they try to show, which is interesting to see, you know, one way or the other, right? But look what you were saying about being able to speak the language. It's so clear when you're listening to some of these artists. If you've been listening to this stuff for a long time, I'm trying not to be the old man. I'm trying not to be a dick, right? Sometimes I'll play something and I'm like, nah. Immediately no. Just because like it doesn't speak to my sensibilities, not saying something that I give a shit about, or maybe I just pass about, or maybe I don't understand it yet. Because that's definitely happened. There's a group, Kill the Vultures. Go and listen to Kill the Vultures, because it's what I define as some of the greatest music of all time. First 6 months probably my friend's playing for nonstop for me, and I didn't get it, right? But that language that comes, especially with hip hop, is very specific to the genre itself, right? And the more, like Rakim said it the best in a song called "Know the Ledge," is knowledge, right? Is like a constant understanding and like constantly evolving with the times as well. You know, to stay, especially to stay relevant. You know what I mean? Like in an art form where, you know, for better or worse, you're trying to appeal to like kids in high school. You know, they're the ones that are going to be buying the tickets. They're the ones going to be going to the shows and, or, you know, whatever, right? If you're in that city, I think now it's might be a little bit, I mean, as your band ages, your fan base will, you know, might come with you, but, in order to stay relevant and to stay, like what's like the hot shit right now, unfortunately isn't like Eric B and Rakim.
Well, I think, you know, right now
the sound has evolved.
And it's more about having like hit singles right now, where it's like people don't necessarily go out and buy records, or even though the whole album is available on Spotify, they just want to hear the single. And so they want something to be like wildly successful now. For the most part, you need something that people can easily understand, and that sort of they get that hook right away from the first listen, from the first like few seconds of the first listen.
Is there counterculture anymore, like for the kids?
I
like,
think so.
I wanted everything that was popular, I made an active attempt to try to find like the other thing. You know what I mean? Like what was like popular. I don't know in my head, because like because I was kind of exposed to other shit that I thought was cool. And then I couldn't understand why like nobody was into it or whatever. And then it becomes like a little bit more of your own. Right? So now with is it like a social media thing, or like everybody's like so connected that if, you know, you don't want to, venture too far outside of the lane. I don't know if that's even a thing, because now there's like kids that are rapping about shit like sucking their friends' dicks that would never happen, you know what I mean, in this era.
Yeah.
Which is very cool to see. You know what I mean, right? Like you can see the, things evolving, because there is a thing in hip hop, especially like in the golden era of it, like the best thing, the best time for like the music, in my opinion, just because sonically and, I dig the sound, and also like I get with what they're saying, but there's a lot of like, misogyny and homophobia, and like there's a lot of, shit or whatever that makes its way into into that stuff that might not age that well, but you can't take away from the fact that, you know what I mean, it was like it was aggressive and in your face, and you know what I mean, some of that kind of had to speak for it. So
yeah,
I don't know, it's an interesting evolution, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm positive that there are countercultural groups now, but we probably just don't know really, because like what we see is what's popular.
Send us your recommendations. Let us know what's popping, or what else is not popping. I want to see what. I want to see if there's just what's the next like weird kid or whatever, right? That's like dyeing his hair and like twerking on Satan. Is there anybody doing that?
Dyeing his hair and twerking on stage
on Satan.
On Satan? Oh, probably.
That's a thing that nobody's done yet.
Twerking on Satan.
You didn't know about Nas X, that little kid?
Oh,
that was the thing.
Oh, right.
You're not yes-anding me, Jack.
Sorry, I didn't. I didn't know what you were referencing.
Oh no, I'm just I don't know. I just like to see it when the kids, like when the kids come out and just like and piss people off, right?
Yeah.
Like so, like whether or not I agree with what that kid did, or like I mean I don't disagree with it. It's fucking hilarious, right? Go.
Yeah, I think I like
Nike
him.
to put some blood in the shoes and twerk on Satan is fucking awesome. Because, like, when I was a kid, my mom would be looking at, like, CD covers of actual, like, Cannibal Corpse or Slayer, like, raining blood and all this. There was actual shit that meant NWA, fuck the police. You know what I mean? Like, there was stuff that was so much more, like, aggressive and offensive.
Yeah. But I feel like also we're sort of desensitized. I don't think there's anything that could come out now that would be like, holy fuck, that's like, I feel like our generation has sort of heard it all. It's really hard to push the boundaries
I saw, like,
in
Faces
the same
of Death
way.
when I was like 13 or something like that, right? Like Two Girls, One Cup and all that stuff. Like after that, like there's no rap song that's going to offend me.
Yeah, it's sort of hard. It's a lot more difficult to get like an outraged or a shocked reaction.
Yeah, right.
From the general public anyways.
I don't I mean, I would love it to happen. Like, I'd love if we were going to be the ones to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make it happen.
Yeah, but, like, is anybody
obviously,
get offended
people
anymore?
are still people get offended all the fucking time.
Oh, fuck.
But, and in general, though, I don't think there's a huge public outcry about things like that anymore, about, offensive language and shit like that.
Yeah, I think it just
there are
goes to the
groups that get
person,
offended, but in general.
Who's the one that gets, like, really pissed off?
Who gets really pissed off?
Yeah, like, what would be, like, an example?
Well, I would say, like, any, like, conservative group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any, like, church group, anything like that.
I thought it was just white women.
White women, too.
Oh,
Karens,
okay.
yeah.
Karens, yeah. You guys are getting a bad rap right now.
We are.
Like, you guys are not having your time in the sun. Like, white men, like, we're always, like, persona non grata. Like, I get that. Right? But now, like, ladies are getting their feet to the put to the fire as well, right? Like, it's good to see you over here. It's nice.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We were lonely for a couple years.
As we should be. Yeah. And most white people should have their feet held to the fire.
Sure. Absolutely. Not for what they did personally, but just for
included.
just for the luxuries that they've been afforded that they haven't been aware of.
Totally. And I think the thing with white women too is that they got
fine as fuck.
Got all excited when like Me Too movement started happening, and then I think a lot of white women were like, "Oh yeah, I'm a minority. Feel bad for me. I'm a victim," and they really leaned into that. But I'm obviously part of this group, but. And I think
did you have a couple weeks there where you're like, yeah, fucking right, me too.
Well,
I mean, that was a bad example.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not. It's a tricky subject because obviously, every single woman I know has had like a experience like that, and you do experience you experience things that men don't, but that doesn't mean that because you're just because you're a woman, it doesn't mean that you have to like you don't have to make yourself seem more special because you're like, oh well, I'm a woman, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well, you're also white. So you're a woman, okay?
Yeah.
So, but you're white. You're also middle class.
A couple other boxes there that put you like in a.
But it doesn't take away from like that reality. Yeah. But I have it a lot easier than women of color or trans people or most. I have it easier than pretty much everyone except white men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got it pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's. Lucky, I can feel like the sun is starting to set, which is fine. I'm glad that I got 30 years out of it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm okay with the next chapter. You know what I mean? Because like maybe, I no, never mind. I don't know, because it seems silly to want like your people to make something, but it's just like I would just enjoy like a sense of entitlement to be taken away from somebody, but not over time. Like I want it to be like the table turns tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Be a really sudden shift.
Yeah, like that would be crazy. Otherwise, like it's otherwise just kind of a slow fade and nothing really changes, right? So like I'm all for somebody taking over.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the responsibility.
That's kind of this is like way off topic, but in that on that note, in terms of like things changing gradually versus just like a sudden like overnight shift, that's like kind of what I in a weird way have liked about COVID, because everything changed like so suddenly and everyone was forced to just like question everything, and now we're in like this weird limbo area where we still don't really know what the fuck is going on, but we know that everything is fucking different and everything changed just overnight like that, and no one really knew their place anymore and knew what to do anymore. And I think that's good. I think someone picked up the snow globe and rattled it around, and now we're just like still free falling.
Yeah, that's a cool analogy. I mean, the drastic change is very cool. I'm not very good at recognizing that things are going to be like an issue over time. I'm very accepting in the moment. Like, hey, shit happens. You know what I mean? But coming to terms with dealing with it later, I think even a part of this week, right? It has been a great week. And I think that like without having like an outlet, like place to go or anything really like that, and then just kind of having to come I'm realizing that a lot of like the steam that I need to blow off is not able to like and a lot of it kind of draws back to COVID or whatever, right? Like so I'm not as aware, right? But I'm hyper aware that I'm being a dick, right? Like I'm hyper aware that I'm not in a good mood, but I'm really bad at like thinking about it and recognizing it, you know what I mean, like after the fact.
Well, I think I can I'm definitely that way too, where it's like if I am in a bad mood and then I'm just like an asshole, and it's always like the people who I like care about most that I'm an asshole to, because I feel like the people that I'm comfortable around, I don't have to hide how I'm feeling, I guess. But then because of that, because that these are the people that I'm closest to and love the most, those in turn are the people who get like the brunt of like my worst side of me.
Sorry about
and
that.
I think and I think that I can recognize it like immediately afterwards and be like, fuck, sorry, I'm an asshole. But in that moment when it's happening, even if you know you're being a dick, you just can't, I don't know, I just can't stop it for some reason.
You know me, once that ball starts rolling, I don't know, but it's a different, I don't know. Well, actually, I have quite like in the sense of like maintaining, you know what I mean, friendships in a hard time. I'll actually bring it back to the album here real quick. There's a song not on the master, on Paid in Full, called Eric B for President. It was the first single, actually came out in like 1986. What was on the other side? I think My Melody was on the other side of it. It's like really cool. I think you could also see like a drastic change, like what you're talking about, like that change overnight from, you know, kind of party rocking and a hip it to the hip hip, but you don't stop, and you don't get that anymore now when you have somebody going like, the saga begins, my eyes with the photography lens proper. Like you're going syllables and intricate rhyme structure, like very kind of smooth but tight and like deliberate. But you also have like this like really cool moment of friendship on this record that that you can actually see go through the years of DJ MC duos, right? So where you have Eric B for President, that's like when your MC just has a song about how cool like the DJ is, there's something about like, friendship in there that you go like, holy shit, like these guys like actually give a shit about each other. Gangstar, DJ Premier and Guru, they have a song called B.I. vs. Friendship on Moment of Truth album, right? And it covers that exact same thing. When you see 7L and Esoteric or ID and Abilities, there's something about like this this like connection, right, between the two. Like that's the band, right? You're really only hearing like one person's perspective, and then you're also seeing what the other person is capable of to do with music, right? Which is fucking incredible, So like I look at us like a band, right? So like, what do you think about, like pumping your friends' tires up and just kind of talking, just saying positive things about your friends and the right time? What, because what you do in that, like, I don't think you believe in this aspect, because you went on to Access Granted with Peter Grant. A good friend. A good friend. And I've also been on that podcast. And anytime that anybody's ever brought your name up, I go out of my way to give a very sincere evaluation of our friendship and then do nothing but speak very highly of you. And now when my name was brought up on your episode, I believe the quote was,
okay, that wasn't quite it. But
I listened back.
So basically that, first of all, so that we recorded that last Sunday. And as soon as it ended, and I like obviously immediately started thinking back on it, I was like, oh fuck, I think that I sort of took it too far and I didn't really say anything to counterbalance what a dick I was being. And I think I don't know, I think I was really nervous to be a guest on a podcast, and I like wanted to be funny, and like when I'm in that zone, I just like defensively just be like, I just am a dick.
You shit all over the other member of the band?
I didn't shit
no,
all
you didn't.
over
I was
you.
just giving you a hard time.
But yeah,
during,
no,
like,
but
during a bad week, I was sitting there and I'm going like,
know.
I'm having a shitty time. Hey, these are two of my friends here. They're probably, hey, this might cheer me up, and it didn't. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
It wasn't that bad.
It was
just pretty. It's pretty cool.
But I felt really bad immediately afterwards, and then this whole week, I was thinking about it constantly, and I was like, maybe it wasn't that bad. And then it came out, and I watched it, and I was like, fuck, I'm such a dick. And then you said something about it, and I felt terribly, and I fucking couldn't fucking sleep last night. I felt so bad, and I still do. But I think
it wasn't egregious.
It's not like I said anything mean about you. It's like I was doing a bit, and I just took it too far, and I didn't say anything afterwards that was like, oh, I'm kidding, obviously, because I was nervous and I just didn't think about it. And
I just love the opportunity to bring it up now.
I know.
Because you're like squirming a little bit in your chair, and like we can move off topic.
No, I'm sorry. And obviously, for the record, obviously you're like one of my best friends. You're one of the most important people in my life. You're like the person that I go to for advice on anything, and the person that I trust the most when it comes to like comedy and writing and anything creative, obviously. And
Jackie, flattery will get you nowhere.
And I should have fucking said this on Peter's podcast.
I'm just fucking joking, Jackie. Jesus Christ.
But I feel so bad about it.
I know, but now see, that's the worst part about, like, I could be a dick and continue that on, which is about like anybody, but I could just see it in your face. You like actually bummed about it, and you didn't say anything egregious. It wasn't that bad.
I know, but like I didn't say anything mean, but I didn't say anything nice.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
And I knew that you were having a bad week, and then it came out, and I was like, this is the worst. This is the fucking worst.
The episode is actually really funny.
Thanks.
And no, we're gonna have Peter on because I'm gonna speak my piece with him as well.
Yeah.
You motherfucker.
Yeah.
No, actually, he's pretty cool too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I don't know. I was bummed on the day because like
Yeah.
I was like going through a bunch of other shit. But like I also don't have the mental capacity to care about things that don't matter for longer than like a few seconds.
Yeah.
So you're off the hook, kid. Yeah, no, I don't know. But you know what's like another thing too is just like some kind of like selfish like you know, like kind of like just like seeking some I don't know what whatever the word I'm looking for is just wanting some props, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and then when you're thinking, you're like, oh, for sure I'm gonna get him here, and oh no, not even a little bit was funnier after, because then I really got to look at myself as a person and be like, you're a real pussy, man.
Yeah. Well, no, and I get that too, because like when you did your episode with Peter, obvious, like selfishly, like listening to it, I'm like, oh, like I wonder when I'm gonna get brought up, and then I did, and you were so nice, and like. And it makes it hurts my heart that I didn't do the same thing for you. And literally, I can't tell you how many times that I've thought over this last day, I wish I could fucking go back and redo it.
Oh.
Because
because I wish you didn't, because then we wouldn't have this solid, like, awkward 5-minute chunk that is so funny to me, but is now actually making me feel bad. Maybe I'm the one that's sorry.
No.
I should have been better.
No.
If I texted you 7 jokes a day rather than 4, then
Oh
maybe
my
you'd be
God.
like, this kid's okay.
No.
I'm just fucking with you. Those are, I don't know. I'm just looking for help with the wording, man.
Yeah.
And a little bit of validation and a pat on the back to be like, you're pretty funny. Pretty funny guy.
Obviously, you're pretty funny.
Yeah, no, so, like, well, let's move it away from there.
Okay.
This album, this artist in particular, I don't think it's up for debate. If it is, then fuck off and die. If you're willing to debate the fact that Rakim might be like the greatest of all time, top 5, top wherever you're gonna fucking put him, it doesn't necessarily matter, because I think he's undeniably the greatest of all time, because you can trace hip hop back from today. And it's a lot of really cool. One of the coolest elements of hip hop to me is like is proving that you're the best, right? And there's a line called there's a section of the Source magazine called Show and Prove. Mm-hmm. I think that was in XXL actually. Regardless of the publication, I don't think that either of them are in print anymore. Go to the websites; I'm sure they're still popping. But there was a section called Show and Prove, right? Which is basically like this is where you'd find like new talent. I remember like flipping through that magazine and be like, oh, Joel Ortiz is coming up, and if anybody doesn't know who Joel Ortiz is, go check that dude out. But it was basically like highlighting skills, right? So you know, this kid's been showing and proving. He's been putting that thing out, and like there's so many quotable lines that just come back to this, like everything you can trace from today all the way back, but the buck stops here, right? Then you can see right there, and everything that came before him was a little bit different, you know? So like, who would you think, who do you admire as like the greatest of all time in any field? Besides me. Flattery will get you nowhere, Jackie.
That's obvious. Fuck, I mean, like, I would say the first person that I think of is Richard Pryor in comedy, because I think he
Richie's your
was
favorite all
like
time?
I don't know if I would say he's my favorite, but I think he's the greatest in terms of the style of stand-up that I do.
Yeah.
I think he was like the first person to really fucking like bare his soul on stage and talk about some fucked up shit. And like tell these crazy stories about his life.
But also
but
be
it was
like
fucking
tight
hilarious.
and refined and very funny.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, started as like a piano player and like variety show club acts and stuff like that, right? The life that motherfucker had, raised in a brothel
he made
and shit.
it so personal in a way that no one had done before him. And I think that really like changed stand up forever. Cool. And now like all of my favorite stand ups for the most part they talk about like real shit on stage, and
they
it's
toe
like
the line
fucked
between
up.
like completely fucked up people, but incredibly likable and
But they find a way. It's like finding, it's being able to like live with all this fucked up shit that's happened in your life, but turning it into something that can make other people laugh and make other people happy. And then for me anyways, with my stand-up, it sort of changes that experience. It's no longer like this shitty thing that happened to you. It's like this story that you can tell on stage that makes other people happy. And and I just think that the way,
like, as soon as you start doing comedy, like, you have like just years of baggage and all this like crazy shit that you have, and then as soon as you like learn how to like craft a joke and then learn how to like tell that on stage, like that becomes like those stories now, like the way that I think about them are like almost like a on like a general's kind of outfit or whatever, like all those like decorated, like all those badges or whatever, right? Like you really kind of like it's more than just like a story at that point. There's something like tangible to it, right? Because I think you can give it to other people and and if there's a chunk that they find really funny that they'll take away with it, they'll find something that relates to a fucked up part in their life, right? And everybody can kind of sit down. It's that collective sigh of relief when it's like, oh, we're all fucked up here, or everybody's been down that shitty road or whatever, right?
And it's and it's like it's therapeutic for you, like the storyteller, because it's no longer this like terrible, like shameful like thing in your like dark thing in your past. It's a thing that you just tell to other people, and it's it brings everyone together. And and I just think that Richard Pryor, he changed stand-up forever for the better, because he turned it into something that you can use to sort of change your outlook on your own life, and to sort of make people connect in a way that they couldn't beforehand. Because when you're telling something so personal, people are naturally going to respond more to it, So
like more so than like a Lenny Bruce or like a George Carlin, probably. Like, I mean, they put those on like the big three of like the early days of comedy, right? But I just think he's coming from a personal aspect, right? Like, I love George Carlin so much, but like that dude died with filing cabinets full of writing that you will never see. I mean, that's how much work that guy put in. So it's like his brain and kind of clever, just kind of attitude towards the world kind of birthed a lot of his material, right? Where I think I think you just like, if you were going to ask me, then before I asked you this question, I would have said probably like George, but like I do the same thing. And you know what I mean? Like a little, I don't know, like different approach or like style or whatever to like the way that we like write or perform it. But the crux of it is always, hey, this was fucking crazy. You know what I mean? That happened. And but like it's that that vibe of it's almost relatable in a way.
Right?
Like
just like sharing in your shitty experiences. And I think it was like, for me, like a huge thing. Because I think I kept a lot of secrets as a kid. So sort of changing that and being able to just be like open and wanting to like tell these stories, because I know I'm going to be able to find a way that it just makes other people laugh. I think that's huge for me, and I think it's huge for a lot of people, both comedians and people just who love comedy and watching the audience.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it's really funny the way that, like, I'm not going to like give away any like your turns of phrases or whatever, but like the way that you can do that, like, you know what I mean? You'll take a fucked up story, but the way that you punch it and the way that like, when you're telling a story and you turn a corner, that's going to be like your first act break is going to, lets the audience know like, oh fuck, here we go. But the phrasing that you use in that is so fucked up. You know what I mean? Right? That, like, most of the time when you're sitting in the back of the room when you're on stage, everybody's like, what? And that's the fucking coolest response to a joke ever, is somebody being like, like you're like, just like what you're presenting and what's inside the package is like, vastly different. I think that's definitely cool. Like, I don't know, more so than for me, like, you see 30-year-old tattooed fucking dummy get on stage and you're like, yeah, we've all, okay, tell us your tell us your stories there, buddy, and then and then get the hell out of here, right? But I think like when it comes from like an unassuming package, it's just fucking punches. Like it's
Yeah, but I think
so
you have
goddamn
that
funny.
too. When you
Well,
talk
yeah, my
about-
stories are fucked. Though.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not in like the way that you would expect if you just hear. Obviously, like again, I'm not going to tell your jokes here,
tell
but
one of
like
them,
no,
I forget
just
all of
mean,
them. Do you
yeah,
remember any?
Fuck no, I don't remember my own jokes. But yeah, no, I think you have that too. That element of surprise.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Try to be sincerely fucking
Yeah,
dumb.
yeah.
That's the only thing. Yeah, I had other questions, but I'm just liking where this went off to. Do you have anything
Yeah.
anything that you want to bring to the table here, Jax?
Not really. I think
I'm so thrown off by the fact that the master is on the wall right here. Because, like, you need to check this record out. There's Flow
Okay.
Forever, The Saga Begins, and When I Be on the Mic.
Mm-hmm.
This is a return back to prominence and glory, you know, from the days of Eric B and Rakim. I think that there might be, like, a fucking 10-year hiatus in, like, full-length releases from Rakim to Paid in Full. So the reason that I chose Paid in Full is because I don't own Follow the Leader. That's a fucking really good album as well.
Not that it would matter now.
Not that it matters now. But for any listener out there, I cannot stress how important this man is to just your general everyday life, your happiness on human earth, and your ever expanding love and knowledge of hip hop and all of its in a culture, right? Because when done correctly, it just embodies, you know, all the elements and, you know, stands the test of time. That these kids made this in a week, you know what I mean, in 1986 or 87, right? And the fact that it spans the test of time to the point where, like, it's released 3 years before I'm born, you know what I mean? And we have a, you know, podcast which is two pasty white motherfuckers talking about how awesome, you know, this hip hop record is.
Yeah.
Is a testament to what those kids created in that time. On the back
Yeah.
cover, there's a picture with Eric B and Rakim and like some of like New York's most prominent like hustlers and drug dealers at the time, because that's how, you know, music was financed back in the 80s and stuff like that. You really had to take a chance and go get your money from somebody that you know, might be pretty dangerous, so that you'll see you'll meet him. You'll see the cover and all the gold and stuff they're wearing. And there's a shot on the back of them hanging out with the Cool G Rap is in the photo. He's one of the only rappers that I remember being in there. But the original 50 Cent,
Yeah.
not Curtis Jackson, but like
Not
the
50.
Yeah, the original 50 Cent, and a whole host of other interesting characters that if you're a fan of New York crime, like I am, organized specifically, right? And that does not exclude the black community. That is incredibly organized crime syndicates over there. So like,
Yes.
I love any kind of crime. It just doesn't have to do with like Richard Ramirez breaking into your house and shooting you in the face. Like, that's not my favorite crime. I like
No.
fucking crime. You know what I mean? True crime,
I
organized. Right?
I would say I'm a bigger fan of organized crime than just like a serial killer or
Sure.
something like that,
Yeah.
because that is more of like a business, whereas like you know, a Night Stalker or a Ted Bundy is just like a, you know, a mentally unhinged
Wow.
person that you have there's no control there. I think that's
Totally.
why I like
Totally.
I
Or
feel
like a
more
BTK
comfortable
kinda
in
asshole.
organized crime, because I'm like, you
100%.
know what, I have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
They're not gonna fuck with me.
Totally.
Where it's when they're just making their money.
Yeah.
And where with like someone like
You were the prime candidate for a lot of serial killers.
Exactly.
Like, you tick all the boxes.
Yeah, it's
for a
fucked
lot of
up.
ser-
It's scary.
Even like the women that are going missing in Vancouver right now. Like,
Oh,
you're
I know.
carrying. Jackie's fucking strapped, motherfuckers. So don't fuck around
Don't
with my
fuck
friend.
with me.
You're gonna get some spice in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about fraud?
About fraud?
Yeah,
Like in
there-
what sense?
Jackie, I will tell you what sense. There is
Mm-hmm.
a dude. I think he's might be Italian or from Spain or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the location, but that doesn't matter because he's currently being arrested because he convinced, or 35 women
Yes.
that he was dating
my God,
just to get birthday presents from all them.
Yes.
Bro, you are a fucking legend.
Oh my God,
man.
I saw this
You
story.
were
I
going
was
down.
I was gonna send it to you as like something that we would talk about at the beginning, but then I found the other story.
Yeah.
But yes, I heard of this.
What do you think about this guy?
I mean, like, and in the grand scheme of things, no one got hurt. Like, people, 35 women bought birthday presents, which is like, I would be kind of pissed off, but like, no one, it's no serious
Everybody in the
damage.
joint right now is being like, dude,
Yeah.
teach me.
Yeah.
There's Instagram pictures of him just like whiling out at dinner tables and shit. Like, first of all,
It honestly kind of sounds like something I would do.
it sounds fucking. I would never do this. I love the idea of it. I love the, there's a little bit of deception in there, and
Yeah.
there's like it's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't. Like one woman on her own, like that's a lot to fucking deal with, right?
Yeah, no,
So imagine, like, especially like when you get to like a relationship phase. So this
But I don't know if he
guy's
was, like-
texts are
yeah.
out of control. If
I
you're
didn't
gonna
see-
date somebody to the point that you're expecting a birthday present from him, that
That's
has
true.
to be some kind of like intimate relationship or whatever.
That's true.
Do you think he's starting these relationships based on when their birthday is? So he's like, okay, I'm gonna swing this one around because like my birthday's coming up in like 3 months. Hers is like 6 months from now. So boom,
He
I'll
told
get her
them
out of there.
he told them different birthdays. Like he told them different days.
Bro,
Yeah.
I love this fucking guy. Just because like it seems like so much, right? Like I was not the best person in my younger years, right? And there was a little bit of that, right? But the amount of like as soon as you fucking lie and you tell a lie to somebody that you fucking care about, the amount of exhaustion that goes with just keeping up that lie. He had that going over 35 different women and had to remember each of his birthdays and shit like that. And he has to be like, oh, I mean, Pisces, right? Virgo, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? He's probably got all these stupid fucking sayings and
Fucking
shit like that.
exhausting.
Incredible, right? So like
Yeah.
at that point, you have to give medals away instead of like jail time because that is
But do you
so
think
above
like,
and beyond.
Do you think to that extent though, there's something? There's
Guinness
something,
Book of World Records or something
No,
like that's
but-
who you contact for this.
Do you think there's something going on like in his brain, like to
Yeah.
be able to sustain 35
He's a
different
fucking
lives?
psychopath, incredible narcissist,
Like, I can't-
right? Like for
don't-
sure, there's all types of mental issues that are going on there.
Yeah.
But what we're not talking about is how fucking brilliant he is because he
Yes.
was successful. If 35 of these women, like, so this is the 35 women that are speaking out because they all joined like a Facebook group.
Yes.
Which is even
It's
funnier.
also kind of sad because it means like he's only getting, if he wants 35 birthday presents, it means he's not getting them from anyone but his significant other.
Jackie, you're a fucking adult. Who gives you birthday presents other than like your couple friends and family? You get like what, 5 birthday presents?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's
You want
like
35 birthday presents?
I would love
like-
35 birthday
hey,
presents.
listeners,
Yeah,
May 21st. Johnny's turning 31.
Yeah.
But, but I can tell you that I'm not, in discussion with 35 other women trying to,
No.
just to get gift up at birthday season. It's so cool. I'm for it 100%. I say, I say give him a medal,
Okay.
and not put him behind metal bars.
Yeah. Well, I don't think. Yeah, I don't.
just
I
think
don't
the
think put him
undertaking-
behind bars, but I think maybe have a conversation with him,
Well,
see
he's
what's really going
conspiring
on.
to defraud people or something. Like I get it. I
Yeah,
guess. I don't
yeah.
know. But like
yeah.
it sounds.
I guess I don't know how much
seems
they were
loose.
spending on these presents.
I
But,
want to be the defense attorney in this case.
You're like, my client is lonely.
Yeah, and clearly these bitches ain't shit because like
Yeah.
they care enough, but not enough to know like
Yeah.
who dating anybody has enough time to talk to 35 other fucking people.
Exactly.
Right? Incredible.
I don't
The
talk
amount-
to 35 people. Period. I probably couldn't name 35 people that I would have like a 5-minute conversation with.
On the phone, maybe 4 to 5 people that I even
On the
answer
phone?
the phone.
Oh my god.
Right?
It would be
In
like my
public,
family plus
I'll do
like
bullshit,
4
like a hey, how are
3
you,
or 4
right?
friends.
But
Yeah.
those little bullshit hey, how are you relationships, like they're acquaintances, they're not bullshit relationships or whatever, but like in the sense of like shooting the shit or just bullshitting with somebody for like that 5 minutes. That person that I'm bullshitting with is not at a level of like buy you a fucking birthday present.
Oh my god. No.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that takes some serious time, and I mean he's probably like, passionate lovemaker, right? You know, he probably listens and shit. Imagine the mental capacity that guy would have to remember names, birth dates, important fucking first date scenarios and shit like that.
I feel like probably
he's
though,
like fucking Rain Man.
He probably told them different dates. Then as soon as that birthday passed, then he probably just nixed them, ghosted them. Because why would, if the goal is birthday presents, why would he keep them on board?
If the birthday present's really good, then you want to keep her around for the next year, right? Because like, I mean, if she like went
if this is going to be a lifelong thing, then yes,
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
So do you think that he has like a job with the phone company or something? He's always got to be on the road. Like, how the fuck is this guy handling his day to day?
35 women who think
women.
that they're dating. Like, if you're dating someone, you expect to see them fairly often.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I mean, what do you do when, you know, you want to trust your partner, you want to hang out, you don't want to sit there and be like, what's on his phone? And then you pick up his phone. It's just 34 mixed texts from 34 different women. How fucking hilarious is that?
34. That's so many.
It's a crazy number, right? But like, I want to know if it was like
imagine.
actually 42, but there were 7 women with some self-respect to be like, I'm not fucking.
Yeah, I'm not getting my name.
There's like a girl
that's
just cutting. She's just cutting the ribbon on a fresh wrap present, and she sees the news. Like, not me.
Yeah.
Just puts it away. Have some respect for yourself, ladies. After 22 come forward, then you're good.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. Unless it was like
so funny.
Unless there's some chance of me getting like some sort of reparation if I like joined this lawsuit or whatever.
Yeah.
Would it be a class action at this point if there's 35?
Oh, dude, there's like a fat lawyer that comes on your screen in like an ill-fitting suit, and it's like, did you have a relationship with Greg? That guy's been having relationships all over town. Call me, and we'll get a piece of this together, right? Did you or anyone you know take Johnson & Johnson bags in 2020? Like, that's going to be a class action lawsuit too.
God,
who knows, right? But either way, have you ever kind of dragged somebody along just for the express purpose of maybe getting a gift or something?
No, not for the express purpose of getting a gift. No, that's silly. But I've definitely sort of strung someone along for longer than I should have.
The dick was good, or like what was the purpose?
No, just because I didn't want to hurt their feelings and
that's a bad one. Yeah. Well, we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Don't
That's
do
not
that.
fun.
If
Yeah.
you're, it's worse.
Be upfront.
It's worse to string someone along than to just end it, and like they're gonna be sad for a bit, but don't drag, because you're gonna have to fucking do it eventually.
Totally. Pull the Band-Aid. We're all about pulling Band-Aids at Show Me Yours.
Yeah.
We rip them right off the dick. I mean, I'm bored. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, right? Like, that story exists, and it just brings so much joy into my life, right? Mm-hmm. But that just means that like people are out there still like communicating with people and shit.
Yeah.
Right? Are we just like cocking it up in my bedroom, just fucking not going out and doing anything? Should we go party?
I don't know if we can. I don't know if there's anywhere to party right now.
Because then you have to go to the beach and shit. I don't like really being outside.
Yeah, and it's not really nice out. I mean, we can go out and do something if you want.
You want to go do something?
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I don't know. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Okay.